Right, 14 June 2024, and today is a Friday, so I've got a lot of stories that need to be covered. So I'm going to be moving very, very quickly, and I hope that you are enjoying all the coverage that we're giving you here at Gambakwe Media. So specifically, I want to start by thanking Tari Designs who are providing me with or dressing Gambakwe. So if you want to buy any clothes, any African attire, you can go and look at taridesigns.com. The website is coming very, very soon. So let's get straight into what is happening in Zimbabwe. There is massive developments in Zimbabwe today, and I want to start with the events for today. You saw that Mnangagwa is in Victoria Falls. So Mnangagwa is presenting over there. He's talking about what is happening with the CEO roundtable. Most of those things that happen over there, I don't really know why a president has to go to a CEO roundtable. I don't think it makes sense. But Mnangagwa is basically attending everything that he can attend to get political mileage. He's actually not able to do anything. We've been saying this for a very, very long time. Mnangagwa is desperately trying to get the attention of everyone, but it won't work. It's clear that Mnangagwa has become a liability, not only to ZANU PF, but to Zimbabwe in general. So Zimbabweans are fed up of Mnangagwa. So let me take you through a very important occurrence that is taking place today. So you know that there is a Zimbabwean, a popular Zimbabwean businessman who's died this week. So that is Edd Mboma Matanga. And this story is in the H Metro newspaper. So this is my favorite newspaper. Every day I look at these guys. They've got very interesting stories. So H Metro newspaper is reporting that there are two funerals for Edd Mboma Matanga, who is a well-known soccer supporter. So Edd Mboma Matanga died this week, 63 years old, and he died of a heart attack at his house in Borrowdale Brooke. So there are currently two funerals, two competing funerals for him, as his first wife is holding a funeral for him. The first wife is Angeline. She's holding a funeral for him at the Borrowdale Brooke. People are gathered over there. Then there's another funeral which is being held at Mount Pleasant, where his second wife, Virginia, is also holding a separate funeral. So the popular man, in his death, there's competition among his wives. So he is very popular, and his body is going to lie in state at Borrowdale Brooke tonight and at Mount Pleasant tomorrow. So that's an amazing situation that is taking place with Edd Mboma Matanga, and I can't believe what I'm seeing, and I can't believe that they're moving this body around from one house to another. That's crazy stuff. But let's go to our headline today, and our headline is that Tshinga Dube. So you know Tshinga Dube is the former war veterans minister of Zimbabwe. I'm trying to look for a good picture here of Tshinga Dube. Hard to find. And Tshinga Dube is complaining that his cousin has been killed. He believes that it's not a natural death. Tshinga Dube says his cousin, who is a soldier, Louice Dube, died after being stabbed in the back. And he says the knife was in the back, and there's no way that this could have happened because the wife claims that Louice Dube killed himself. He stabbed himself to death, and she only came to pull out the knife. So she's saying she didn't stick it in, but she's the one who pulled out the knife. He died in hospital, and Tshinga Dube is crying foul that this is not a natural death. This is something that happened because the wife stabbed him because she's also a soldier. So two Zimbabwean soldiers are involved in this case. And this is a case where a Bulawayo soldier, Louice Dube, died from a stab wound in the back. And the wife, who is a sergeant in the army, is being blamed for that situation. I thought soldiers were not allowed to marry each other. Like those guys can't marry each other. They're both crazy. Like the wife is crazy and the husband is crazy. Don't do it. I can't tell you stories about soldiers that have been married It doesn't end well. Hazvipere mushe. And so if you're a soldier and you see a soldier woman who is beautiful, leave her alone. Do not marry her. Both of you are going to regret it. I've got a story or two to tell you, but I won't. So this is something that happened. Louice Dube killed. He was stabbed in the back by his wife, who is a soldier. That is what Tshinga Dube is saying. And Tshinga Dube is a very serious guy in the War Veterans Association, and also he's a former minister in the government. He is saying that Louice Dube's death is suspicious. They don't believe that he stabbed himself in the back to death. But the surgeon is saying, yes, she didn't kill him. The knife, she pulled out the knife. I don't know why she was pulling out the knife, because someone is stabbed once. You don't pull out the knife, you leave the knife in so that the blood doesn't go all over the place. The bleeding stops. The knife will stop the bleeding. So I used to be like a first aider long back. And it was well known that if someone is stabbed in the back or in the front, you don't take out the knife, you keep it in so that the blood, the bleeding doesn't continue. So that is an interesting story. That's our headline. Louice Dube, Tshinga Dube, is complaining that his cousin was killed. He did not die naturally, but I think this is going to be hard. Soldiers, they kind of get protection. If you get killed by a soldier, it's probably going to end there. So let's go to the next story. That was our headline. And obviously the story of Edd Mboma Matanga, I'm going to put it on our TikTok. So if you want to see the story that I want to highlight, go to our TikTok. Yesterday we covered General Tshinga. General Tshinga doing very, very well in Tajikistan. I hope that he comes back with something interesting for the water. The water situation in Zimbabwe is a mess, the crisis. You cannot believe how dirty the water in Bulawayo, in Bulawayo and Harare is. I don't drink water in Harare. It's like drinking raw sewage. Now let's go to Ronnie Dube. So Dubes are dominating today. Ronnie Dube is the town clerk of Victoria Falls. So Ronnie Dube, so that's Ronnie Dube here in the picture. I think he's related to Tshinga Dube. Ronnie Dube is refusing to step down as the mayor of Victoria Falls. And Ronnie Dube has been in office for 8 years. According to Zimbabwean law, a town clerk can only serve 2 terms of 4 years. However, Ronnie Dube has written to the mayor of Victoria Falls, and he has asked that his term should be extended. So Ronnie Dube is written to Thuso, Prince Thuso, who is the mayor of Victoria Falls, and says other councils have ignored the directive by the government, which requires a town clerk to serve only 2 terms. So he should also be allowed to ignore the directive because he's got some strategic initiatives that he wants to complete. I guess that is some tenders that he needs to sign and some kickbacks that he needs to get. Those are the strategic initiatives that Dube here is talking about. He doesn't want to step down Ronnie Dube. Victoria Falls is an amazing city, an amazing town, and I hope that they don't allow this kind of mismanagement and corporate governance failure. So let's hope that Ronnie Dube doesn't get away with it. Let's fix this situation. We need a new town clerk in Victoria Falls. That place is going to become a heaven on earth. The potential in Victoria Falls is amazing. And if a proper government comes into place, you're going to see that Victoria Falls is going to become the hub that is going to push Zimbabwe into a lot of development. A lot of people come to Victoria Falls. A lot of conferences take place in Victoria Falls. And if this is allowed, where corporate governance is poor in Victoria Falls, then you're going to lose out. And you know my view on development. We need rapid development in Zimbabwe. And this is not happening because the guys who are put in place, especially by Mnangagwa, the people who come from, and I just think it's Chavangu and all that, these are the guys who come up with these odd ideas of staying 10 years when you're supposed to stay 8 years, which is crazy. Right, so let's go to the next story. And this is John Mushayavan. This guy is messing up big time. So there is a big mess taking place at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. And I want to explain to you what is the problem. The problem is that Zimbabwe is running out of foreign currency. So the ZiG the fake zig. There is too much fake zig. When I talk of fake zig, I'm talking about balances in the bank account. They are creating these huge amounts of fake zig, which they then try to change into US dollars. So what has happened is that companies are now refusing to release foreign currency. So if someone has got a foreign currency in their bank account, they're not selling it for fake zig, which results in people want to import, failing to have enough cash to import. And people that also have forex in their accounts are now going to the interbank market to try and get forex. So there is now a scramble for forex, and the fake zig is going to dramatically collapse and crash because of this situation. Everyone knows that the money that is in the electronic zig is fake, so that money is not real money. And very soon, I'm going to launch a court application. I will tell you about it, to force the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to release the real zig. The real zig is cash, which is about 80 million zig. That is cash. They've not released that. They've released the fake zig, which they are manipulating on a daily basis. So now there's a directive that has been issued by John Mchavan that if you've got money in your forex account, you can no longer go to the interbank market to buy foreign currency. So what does this tell you? The whole thing is collapsing. No one in their real senses is going to take their own forex and buy whatever goods. They're all going to go first to the existing money on the interbank and take that and import, because they know that the US dollar is real money. The zig, the electronic zig, is fake. People are creating it from thin air, and the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe does not have the safeguards in place. They do not know what to do. So the financial intelligence unit of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is a mess. They don't know what they're doing. There's this guy called Oliver Chiperesa. You see him here? He's the head of the financial intelligence unit at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. They are working with such economists as Ana Persistence Guanyanya. They come out on ZBC every week. And me, I'm not an economist, but I can tell you immediately that these guys, they don't have a clue what they're doing. If you listen to Oliver Chiperesa talking, you can clearly see that there is no one at the Reserve Bank. You know that saying. There is no one at the gate. Those guys are going to be robbed blind, right, at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, because they don't have a clue what they're doing. That is the problem in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. The corrupt system and no one to check what is going on. The zig is going to collapse. And most of the zig in electronic banks is fake zig. And that thing is not going to work. And to make matters worse, you got people like Ed Manga, the finance ministry over there. It's like sending a wolf to guard some sheep. That is what is happening over there at the finance minister of finance. Mthuli Ncube has been totally overridden by his deputy. It's like reporting to Junior. That is what is happening with Mthuli Ncube. And speaking of Kudamnangagwa, he presided over a Chamber of Mines conference in Victoria Falls, and today there's a massive, almost 10-page supplement in Newsday. Newsday belongs to Mnangagwa, in which the Chamber of Mines is being congratulated. These are the top guys in the Chamber of Mines, and they've not changed. So there's Thomas Gono over there, John Msekiwa, and Munashe Shaba. So those are the guys who are in charge of the Chamber of Mines. The Chamber of Mines is doing well, but actual production is very low in Zimbabwe. There's no actual production taking place. There is a reduction in production. So let me say it that way. But they're taking a lot of loans. They're moving a lot of money here and there. Right. I want to then go to some South African news, and I'm going to spend a bit of time in South Africa. So let's do 3 stories from South Africa today, and then I'll wrap up. I need to run to gym. So let's start with Mercedes-Benz South Africa. So this is very interesting story. Mercedes-Benz South Africa. So this is Mercedes-Benz South Africa here. Mercedes-Benz South Africa is set to retrench 700 employees from their East London plant. So the East London plant of Mercedes-Benz produces the C-Class vehicle that I'm showing you here. This is their mass market car. Like anyone can buy this car, the C-Class. And this plant produces 90,000 Mercedes-Benz a year. And normally about 7,500 of these get exported every month. And in South Africa, they about 1,000 are bought every month. So they're retrenching employees because there's no demand, there's no buying power in South Africa. And they've started what is called a Section 189 process. I hope I got that section correct. Section 189 process, where they ask employees to volunteer to be retrenched or to step down or just basically to retire. And this is the process before they actually retrench 700 employees. And the South African market is very crazy, especially the car market, because there is a lot of cars being produced in South Africa. But because the rand is so weak, imported cars have become extremely expensive. So buying a car is now like 1,000 a month, which is like $500 a month as an installment. Before, when I first came here to South Africa, that would never happen to have such a price. You could easily buy a BMW here for like 2,500 a month. You could drive a BMW and have a big balloon payment at the end. But there is so much competition now from the second-hand car market. There are new players that have come into the market. For example, I buy all my cars. It's some place called We Buy Cars. I go there a lot. And you probably buy this Mercedes-Benz instead of the usual 700,000. A car like this, you could buy it for, let's say, 150 to 200. Second-hand or used. You can easily find a Mercedes-Benz, which is in good condition over there for this price. So the pressure on these guys is very high. And also there's the issue of the Chinese manufacturers. There's a lot of Chinese manufacturers here who offer the same kind of car with better service conditions. So maybe they can give you 7 years service, free service. Whereas a Mercedes-Benz is very expensive to service if you buy it from Mercedes-Benz. And it's well known that these Germans they can really take you out of your pocket. If you buy a German, you must be a person who's got the right amount of money. It's not easy to drive a German. Now let's go to another story quickly. I want to look at another South African story, and this is to do with young South Africans. So young South Africans and their preferences. Lighthouse has issued out a survey this week about how young South Africans under the age of 35 are financially acting. So young South Africans under 35 are preferring to buy an SUV compared to buying a house. And when they buy a house, they're buying less. So most people just prefer to rent. And last year, 2023, the pattern that came out was that only 254,000 houses were bought by youngsters. And these were bought in new developments. So there are about 5 new developments where people bought houses, youngsters under 35. That is Impumelelo development in Devon, Sedibeng municipality, 857 units. Sky City in Ekurhuleni, 446 units. Bella in Cape Town, 375 units. Errand Gardens in Midrand, 341 units. And Clayview extensions in Ekurhuleni, 298 units. So most young people, they're buying smaller properties, but these smaller properties are costing more. So if you're a young person, you must understand that property and car make a good decision, because sometimes you don't necessarily want to buy a house and a house that won't drive you to work. So if you're a young person, I would prefer that you buy a nice car. That is my advice to you. Buy a nice car and leave the houses to the older guys, because it sort of ties you down one place. That is why younger people are buying cars instead of houses. So when you're still starting out, buy a bigger, nicer car and stay in a smaller place, or stay with your parents. Then you can do well. Independence is not as important as before. You can be independent on your phone. You go in your room, it's okay. Then in Zimbabwe, obviously, in terms of property, there is a property group called West Prop. I do not have an agreement with West Prop, and I don't market their properties. I'm just mentioning to you that West Prop has started a new development. These $2 billion developments are in Pomona and the hills. And this is the most interesting development right now. I've shown you this, and yesterday some people called me asking for the contacts. You can buy a residential stand here for approximately 70,000 US dollars. Let's say on average 70,000 US dollars, which is about 150,000 rands. Did I get that right? 70,000 multiplied by 10, okay, multiplied by 20, it's about 150,000 over there. So the interesting thing about this property is that it's in a gated community, and you've got services, it's serviced, and you don't have the problems that you have in Harare of security, and also generally of mixing with the public. So vendors on the street and all that. That's why this development is so popular. And they also have terms, so you can put a deposit down and you can pay the rest of the money over some time. So this is becoming more popular. That is the West Prop properties, and they also have the Pokogara properties. However, I believe that one of the things that we're obviously talking about is the protest that is going to happen in August. If people are going to come back from the diaspora, you just don't need these 140 units that are going to come from here. What is needed is a massive reimagining of the housing market in Zimbabwe. So there's a massive reimagining of the housing market in Zimbabwe, which is needed. The current government of Mnangagwa does not have a priority on housing. Garwe had came up with the housing model, and I did go into detail on that housing model that Garwe had came up with. They never implemented that. The Minister of Housing, they done a good job in terms of a strategy, but it's so poor, that strategy. Land around Harare is lying fallow, and title is not properly being managed. So the management of title in Harare is very, very poor. And you buy your house, you build a nice house, and then some crazy person comes and builds a shack right next to you. So that is poor planning, and that is one of the biggest problems in Harare. The demand for beautiful houses is amazing in Harare. There is so much demand, and if you buy land in Harare, you do very, very well. Unfortunately, the land is not being managed properly. I believe that we need at least 2 million units to satisfy the demand, just to normalize the market. But Mnangagwa, they will never do it. They don't have a plan. Mnangagwa is the person that is totally out of touch with what he needs to do. As a president, he thinks he can just go around opening small things like a mall or a road or whatever. That's not what the president is supposed to do. That's what ministers and mayors and councillors are supposed to do. But Mnangagwa is scrambling with my mayors and my CEOs, my engineers to open things. I told you that here in South Africa, a road, they don't even open it. Building a road is a daily occurrence. And Mnangagwa, a road you haven't taken 2 years to repair it. That is the problem with Mnangagwa. As repair it, and join. I always tell you that the things never finish. And there's so much pomp and fanfare around everything that is doing. Like take this road, for example. It's been under construction for more than 4 years, and it's less than 4 kilometers long. Similarly to Mbudzi roundabout, it has missed its deadline already by more than 2 months, and it's going to go for over a year before they finish. The things that they are doing, Anamnangaba, that's what is slowing down everything. They need to be taken out. Anamnangaba, they need to be out. These are the guys that are removing or stopping the modernization of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe will never develop under this current group of people. I do not see what happened with this conference. The USA Africa Trade Commission. I hope to see what's happening. If you're in Harare, you can check it out at the Rainbow Towers. I don't know what happened with that conference. So it's sort of like happening quietly. And then obviously there's a lot happening in terms of the Zimbabwe government. Then I want to touch on another important issue, and this is happening in South Africa. There is a big pandemic in terms of fake qualifications. So in South Africa, there's a lot of fake qualifications. And when I'm talking about fake qualifications, I mean like people just pretend to have a certificate in matric and they don't have it, and they go into the system and they start working, then eventually they get discovered as having a fake qualification. So there is a very interesting case here of Ndobelanga Pretty Lebane, who has been, she appeared in court this week for having a fake matric certificate. She pretended that she had a certificate, and she managed to go through the Public Service Commission. She managed to go to university and attend a degree. She actually got a degree with a fake matric certificate. So it doesn't count. If you get a degree when you got a fake matric certificate, it doesn't count. And she got this at Walter Sisulu University, which means both the university and the Public Service Commission could not pick out that she had a fake qualification. So she appeared in court yesterday. She actually ran away from when they first discovered it. They discovered it through whistleblowing. Someone came and said that's the only way they could find it. Fake qualifications are a pandemic. And normally when someone has got a fake qualification, the way you see it is they're so incompetent and they're so emotional. Like, if someone is competent and emotional, you must check their qualifications. They behave in an erratic and irrational way. And that is how you know that the person has got the fake qualifications. And in South Africa, there's a lot of senior guys that if you check that their documents, they are going to be fake, especially in government. A guy is someone managed to change the number in the certificate. So background checks are very important, and in South Africa, they're not being done. That is why most things don't work, especially in government departments. It's a big pandemic. So I want to wrap it up. We're almost on 26 minutes. So today, let's be quick. On Monday, it's a holiday here. So I'm probably going to be traveling. And we're also doing a lot regarding our protest that we're supporting. Gambakwe Media is supporting the protest by the Zimbabwe Intercessors Movement. And I would like to thank everyone who put money overnight. You can donate at fumojana.com. We need to raise almost $100,000 for everything to happen. And Ed Manga, they must step down. There must be dialogue and fresh elections in Zimbabwe. And we need responsible people who are going to donate so that we get this moving. This thing won't happen. Zimbabwe will not develop with this current government, which is there. So let's make sure that this government, Yamnangaba, it steps down. We get a fresh government, fresh elections. Those elections were rigged, and everyone knows that the elections were rigged. So let's be open. The young people that are there now, do not allow this situation to persist. Where Mnangagwa just continues like the way he's continuing now, employing his sons and basically running everything down and moving around aimlessly from one conference to another. That's all Mnangagwa does. He just moves from one conference. You're going to see him with conference one this week. Next week is another conference. If you ask Mnangagwa, what have you achieved so far? Nothing. There's absolutely zero that Mnangagwa is achieved. He only thinks if he attends a conference, he's achieved something, which is crazy. I've never seen such a thing in my whole life. Where someone thinks attending a conference is an achievement. How many weeks has Mnangagwa been running around from South Korea to Russia, and now he's back in Zimbabwe? He's in Vic Falls. Next week is going to be some other conference. After that, he was at Kaza. You see, it's crazy, and he's already looking forward to SADC. This is crazy, guys. We need to put a stop to this craziness that is happening over there in Harare. And the only people who can do it is if everyone unites and they put a stop to the craziness and say, we do not want this anymore. Right, I think let's recap and then let's look at the comments. So firstly, we said there is an interesting story of Edd Mboma Matanga. 2 funerals are being held for Edd Mboma Matanga, and one is in Mount Pleasant, where his one wife is. The other one is going to be the Borrowdale Brooke, where his other wife is. And this guy is very popular for supporting soccer. He's well known for supporting soccer. He died at 63 of a heart attack this week. Well, I think it was a heart attack. I don't know. Someone said the heart attack could be something else. If you've got 2 wives, you know what these wives do. So he probably got something that killed him, or 63 years old. And there's gonna be, the body is gonna be lying today at Borrowdale Brooke and tomorrow in Mount Pleasant. We just confirmed that at H Metro newspaper, and they're probably going to have footage of it. And then Tshinga Dube, as I said, has came out. Tshinga Dube is Minister of War Veteran. He has came out and said he suspects that his cousin was killed. That's Ronnie Dube. They look alike. So Tshinga Dube has come out and said he suspects that his cousin was killed. He did not die of a knife of stabbing himself in the back, because his wife, who is also a soldier, claims that she didn't stick in the knife, she only pulled it out. And so they are saying this: the family of Tshinga Dube is complaining, how can Louice Dube stab himself in the back to death? So that is a very big story that is taking place in the military. And as I was saying, if you're a soldier, don't marry another soldier. I think there's a rule against that. You can't marry each other on a soldiers, because both of you are going to kill each other. And I've seen things in the past that, yeah, you can't describe it. When two soldiers are married, it never ends well. That I think they must even put a rule. One soldier. In fact, they have a rule that if you marry a soldier, one of you must leave, because all of them are going to be kung fuing and judoing each other at home. And I've seen it, like the soldier girls, they can actually fight. So I've seen a guy who got so beaten up by his wife, who was a soldier, right? And he was also a soldier. And I wanted to laugh, but it was not funny, because that girl like gave him some kicks, man. It was bad. So in this particular case, it ended in a death, and it's not nice. Right? Ngoma Ed was saying, Gambakwe, I don't understand why all leaders always need to retire in Zimbabwe. It's not a matter of doing good in the current position, but a matter of respect. So you are talking here, Ngoma Edward, of Dube, Ronnie Dube. Ronnie Dube must go. Ronnie Dube is the town clerk of Victoria Falls. He's refusing to go. So Ronnie Dube must go. He must respect the laws of the country, which says a town clerk can only be in place for 8 years. So people of Victoria Falls, I know you watch here, don't allow Ronnie Dube to stay there. He's a Chabangu guy. And to make matters worse, he's refusing to go. And if they allow him to stay, you must also fire Prince Thuso, who is also a Chabangu guy, who is the mayor of Victoria Falls. This is a mess. You need that council to be fixed, and do not allow $1 billion council to be run by like a Mickey Mouse council. So these guys must go, and they must stop what they're trying. Then let's go to Mgoma Bika, but Gambakwe. Will the process really be successful, because the churches we are talking about are small churches, only one and only two people know them? Where is an UFIC, Yada, Methodist, Ioja, etc.? Okay, so Mgoma Bika, let me explain something to you. I'm personally going to be in Zimbabwe, and we're going to cover this. Just give us a chance. I saw Chamisa was out yesterday. Let me see what Chamisa tweeted. It's not about the numbers. We have made it clear, and we've clarified why Mnangagwa should go, and everyone is agreed. There is general consensus around Zimbabwe that Mnangagwa must go. There must be fresh elections, and this is the first time we are going to hear this clearly and openly. So Chamisa hasn't tweeted on his meeting yesterday. He met with Mafume and a bunch of other guys. So I didn't see the tweet here by Chamisa. I'm going to cover that tomorrow. The meeting by Chamisa with other people, and let me explain to you about the protest. The protest is not about the protest. This is about SADC. SADC has to first not appoint Mnangagwa as the chairperson. So first and foremost, we're going to go to SADC. The bishop is going to go to SADC. We're all going to be there. We'll show you what's going to happen in SADC. SADC cannot say the election was not free and fair and then put Mnangagwa as chairperson. So that has to be stopped. Secondly, there has to be a dialogue. Chamisa has already called for a dialogue, and SADC must mediate. The end result of that should be a transitional period, Mnangagwa stepping down, and fresh elections. That's not negotiable. And it's clear. So you've got clear leadership, people who are talking, and you've got a clear outcome. And the clear outcome I'm talking about here is we need free and fresh elections. People like Chugumba must step down. We need rapid modernization of our country. Under Mnangagwa, the country is regressed. Go and walk in Harare now, First Street, you'll be embarrassed. Go to any great point, you'll be embarrassed. Mnangagwa has destroyed all systems. We need strong systems in Zimbabwe. We need homecoming, all these Zimbabweans all over the country, the world must come back. And especially South Africa is not going to be accepting a lot of Zimbabweans the way they were in the past. This place is already having its own problems. Then we need justice. People like Pastor Tafmane Masaya were killed in cold blood. And Mnangagwa is preventing Van Magatesana Matanga from investigating. You've seen what has happened with Week 5. It's clear that Mnangagwa is the problem. And this needs to be addressed. There's no one who's going to doubt. And in these next 2 months, we're going to make it so clear as day. And if UFIC and ZCC and whatever, they believe that they can stay like that, they must stay. But I can assure you that this is going to be sorted. You are going to see an outcome, and you're going to see a fresh new leadership taking over in Zimbabwe. We're not going to have this dynasty thing that is happening right now. It's not going to happen. And obviously, it won't be easy. I said to you, it's a push. So it's a push. It's not a begging. It's not an asking. And we are eventually going to have consensus around the country that there needs to be change. And that change is going to come. So I would like to thank you, everyone here, for watching. I'm over 36 minutes. I'm now talking longer than Makandiwa. That's crazy. Right, and our comment here, Gambakwe is looking clean. Hook us up, please. Yes, Mutsa, let me hook you up. So this is, let me show you this cloth. So this cloth is amazing. This is our traditional cloth. It's called the Reto, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So this has been done for me by Tarek Design. I've got one that is in the whole thing. So you can see, I've got it over here. Let me show you. I've got banner. Let's remove the banner so that you can see. So you can see that I've got the cloth over here. It's our Reto cloth, right? Which end do I have? I've got 2 ends now. So here is our Reto cloth. Very neat, very, very beautiful materials. This only costs like $50, in fact, less than $50. And this has got a significance in our culture. I wear a lot of this cloth. And it's well done. The quality is amazing. So I suggest you go and look at Tarek Designs. She's got Shopify. She's got WhatsApp. I'll send you the WhatsApp. If you go to Gambakwe, you actually see the WhatsApp on our Facebook page. So this is amazing. And I'm going to be wearing a lot of these clothes. Then Mkoma Fina saying they look alike. You're talking about Tshinga Dube. And what I did is Tshinga Dube, right? And Ronnie Dube. So guys, look closely, right? That's Ronnie, that's Tshinga Dube, right? Then there's Ronnie Dube. They look exactly the same. Like these guys are like brothers, or one of them is the son of the other. It's amazing. And I don't want to laugh, guys. There's nothing funny about this at all. I know that people used to make fun of Tshinga, but it's not supposed to be like that. Right. Then the problem comes on the day of voting. That's Mkoma Brian. Mkoma Brian, let me explain to you what we want. We want a president that can walk among the people. We want a president that can talk to the people. We want a president that can listen to the people. When people say we don't want the Zig, Mnangagwa shouldn't be running from one conference to another. Zimbabwe has got so much potential. And the only problem right now is Mnangagwa. That is the problem in Zimbabwe. And then Mkoma Logic saying our biggest problem is our people are not good at supporting what is good for our country. Right, I agree with you, but we've been getting a lot of support. We've been getting a lot of money, deposit in the account. We've bought the air ticket to SADC. We're going to get even more money. And this is all about money. You must understand it's about money. You can't organize a protest without money. And it's also about the support. Every day I'm live in the evenings. We've got almost 1,000 people every night. So everyone is engaged. The SADC protest is going to have thousands of people in Botswana. We're going to make it happen. By the time we get to August, Mnangagwa will beg to step down. That is what is going to happen. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I really enjoyed talking to you this week. And we'll catch you in the evening when we talk about the protest. Please go to fumojana.com, donate amounts. I want to buy the ticket for Bishop Matanga. He needs to travel to SADC, and we need to go over there and make sure that this thing works. We want a fresh new Zimbabwe, a place of opportunity, and it's going to happen. And it's going to happen with your help. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good day.